What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the basement. We're here with Cristina and Allan. Cristina is the author of Woodland Creatures. Allan, you're the co-editor. Woodland Creatures is a brand new Kickstarter. This is about people who basically can warg into animals. They see through their eyes. They can control them. Cristina, you call them lycanthropes. So that's something we're going to get into. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So tell us about Woodland Creatures. How did you come up with this new lycanthrope?
Well, to be fair, at the beginning, it was just a thing I did online, like a story I kept going on over a blog. So I don't know if that has a name or something, but so I just uploaded a chapter every few days online, and I was just doing that while I was writing my first book, which was about vampires, not lycanthropes. But so I just wanted to let people know about myself and see if they like my writing about that. So I started writing that chapter as I finished the book, as I said. And then people started saying that they love it and that they wanted to see more and more. So I just felt like, okay, maybe this should be a book as well. So when I finished that other novel, I started working on this like full time, and eventually published it as a paperback novel in 2016. But it was only in Spanish, so I thought that the best way to get it to a wider audience was to translate it into English. But since I am not a translator, I thought a comic book would be the best way. So yeah, that's basically how it started. It was about werewolves because even though I started with vampires, the lycanthropes have always been my favorite creature. I just wanted to write about them, but do it in a slightly different way. So instead, to keep it realistic, which is something I always want to try to keep my stories, I decided to do it instead of men and women that turn into wolves. Just make it people that can transmigrate their minds inside the body of a wolf that they are so linked to, and then control them that way.
Mm-hmm. So actually, I think you probably just answered one of my other questions was, are there actual werewolves running around in this world? Are there people who can turn into, physically turn into wolves, or is it purely just like a mind meld?
Yeah, it's only through the mind that they said, yeah.
So this story involves Chris and Callie. Callie she's kind of a younger lycanthrope, and she's having a lot of trouble with her animal instincts, let's say. And Chris is kind of trying to keep her in check, all the while battling this colonel who wants to just utilize their powers for, like government super soldiers, basically. And this is the first book. This current Kickstarter is for your second book. So tell us where the story is going to evolve into.
So in the first book, we got, as you mentioned, we got an idea as to the characters. So we met Callie and Christopher. We understood some of their deeper flaws. We kind of understood, dare we say, the overarching risk to their life and to their world. And you get an idea as to the threat level of the book. But in the second volume, we're more going in depth to their personal histories and their stories. So you understand why Callie has become the psychotic murdering bitch that she is.
That's a hell of a way to put it. I was going to say feral, but I like your description.
Yeah, we've thought of different ways of trying to
hear that.
Yeah, Callie's not hearing this, otherwise I would literally lose my head. So you understand that there is reasons why Callie has gone off the rails. There are reasons for her hatred of humanity and hatred of men in particular. In the second volume, you really start to understand a little bit more about that. We're also moving the story from Manhattan and from New York, where it was based in the first one, and we're taking it back home to where they grew up in Alaska. So we're going to go much more into a wild state, and you'll see lycanthropes in their natural habitat. I know that sounds terrible, but it's you'll see them as they want to live rather than being hemmed in by the concrete jungle of a city.
Well, yeah, she makes reference to, like, I wish we were back home, sitting under a tree, just kind of looking at the stars rather than, this. And as somebody who lives in New York, I can tell you that I could never move out of here, but I love the idea of, like, I need to go on vacation for like a couple of weeks on end just to experience nature. So I understand exactly where she's coming from.
And the thing with our lycanthropes that's got to be remembered is, yes, they are humans who can turn their mind into wolves, but they are a separate species. So even in their human form, they do have a more wild side to them, and they have the heightened senses that wolves would typically have. So the human lycanthrope has greater sense of sight and greater smell and greater hearing. And they do have that longing for the woods. Mm-hmm. And they have that urge to kind of go out and prowl and constantly be exercising and constantly be moving. And so being hemmed into a city where there's so many people, it makes it very difficult for any lycanthrope, let alone a lone wolf like Callie. So we will learn more about how lycanthropes live in the second volume.
Are we also going to learn, like, I realized that Chris has a hell of a history with the Colonel, and, there was one panel in there where Chris is addressing the UN, and he's talking about how maybe we shouldn't default to making these people into army soldiers. And it looked like he got a flashback and maybe remembering some horror that happened, maybe even something that he did under the Colonel's orders.
Yeah, you will see that. You do see the lengths that Colonel Harris has gone to already, and it sets up very neatly the finale, and it puts, so in the third volume, you already know how far Harris will go, and so the risks are definitely there, and you see that in the second volume. This is where we start to build the tension, and you understand what Chris has done in his past in the military and why it's affected him so much. So really in the second volume, we're really going in-depth kind of personal details. Mm-hmm. It's probably the biggest feedback which we had on volume one was people saying, it's a great story, but we want to know more about the characters. And we're going, okay, we're giving it to you. Here you go.
There's something to be said for the style of writing, and Cristina, this is absolutely kudos to you, to make somebody feel for the characters within just the first volume is, I believe, 65 pages. In that short amount of time, I already got a feel for these characters. I like them. I want to know more about them. I also wind up hating the Colonel, and I completely don't trust him at all. And there was something that he had said right after the incident at the dinner party, and he said something to the effect of, what I'm capable of.
The only slight spoiler which you might say is he actually cares a little bit more for the lycanthropes than he lets on, so you might make it look like he detests them, but he has a firm amount of respect for their abilities. There's a very good reason why he's advocating to bring them under his control rather than just exterminate them.
Right, okay.
He knows how powerful these creatures are. He knows how useful they can be. He might not like them, but he has enough respect for their abilities to realize their benefits. Mm-hmm. I think that's something he doesn't really want to show. He doesn't want to show how much respect he has for them in case it kind of detracts from his own personal character.
Would you go as far as to call it envy, being that, like, he's a career military man, and just thinking if he had this power, if he had this capability, the amount of, let's say, good that he could have done for his country, imagine that. And, just one of the reasons he'd want them in the army.
I think I actually mentioned that in the book. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the graphic novel, but in the book, I said that it was probably envy because Christopher and him have been working together back in the army. So Christopher obviously can do an awful lot more than he could as a soldier. And so somehow I think it is partly that he wishes he had that power, because he's seen people like Christopher that yeah, were part of the military for a while, but then decided that that wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
So to Harris, as a bit like, you can do so much for your country with all those powers, and you are refusing to do that. Like, it's kind of like, you're not a patriot. It's like, it annoys you.
Yeah, you're wasting it, basically. So let's talk about the art. Now, Cristina, first of all, what's it like to see a novel that you wrote brought to life?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, when I started looking for an artist, I just put like a post on one of these groups online on Facebook looking for a creator. And obviously I received a lot of artists that were interested and sent me their samples. And I think it came down to two, Tomás and another guy. And so I just sent it to the scriptwriter to help me decide. And he said he knew more about comic books at that point than I did. So, well, he still does. But at that point, he saw it and he said, Tomás, like, without a doubt. And I wasn't sure because the other artist was also pretty good, but I just decided to trust him because I was like, he knows about art, about comic books, so he probably, if he has said this guy straight away, he's probably got a good reason, so I decided to go for him. And yeah, I just sent him, Tomás, the like photos of like actors or people that I have seen online that reminded me of the image I had in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
When he sent me some samples of the character, I was just like, wow, yes, he totally nailed it. Some people were just fun, or it was like, yeah, that's Callie, that's Christopher. So yeah, it was amazing to see something that you have only seen in your mind, just on a paper. That was great. Because yeah, as you said, he's just amazing, an amazing artist. He's really good.
I completely agree. The art is fantastic. It's all patched, look, pen and ink, black and white. Such great detail on the animals, on the people's faces. Very realistic. I loved every moment of it. I have to say, the scene that blew me away for mostly was the dinner scene. You know, they're preparing for this. Like, Callie doesn't think she's going to be able to handle it because she doesn't think she's going to be able to control her bestial nature. And I'm honestly expecting like another, let's say, 5 pages worth of exposition of arguments at the dinner party and everything. And when I turn that splash page and I'm like, holy shit. And it's just like panel of broken glass all over the place. And the way the story sequentially worked, and you got an absolute sense of everything that's going on. And for you guys on YouTube, it's appearing on screen for you right now. It looks so amazing. You can see exactly how the night transpired with not a bit of dialogue, and it's all just artwork, and it takes you right through the entire night. Absolutely amazing artwork.
That was one thing that we were very keen on with that, is we didn't want dialogue to detract from the action. You know, we knew that scene was the big explosive scene, and if you start putting dialogue in there, you risk distracting the reader.
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't want that. We wanted, bang, this is what's happening.
Success, 100% success. Because I'm sitting there reading the PDF that you guys were kind enough to send me, and I flipped through it and I'm like, I wish I had like a reactionary camera just for my face, because I was honestly stunned by this. I was not expecting it, and it just hit you like a punch in the face out of nowhere. From such a well composed comic of like panel by panel, this was out of the blue, out of nowhere. Like, wow, this is really cool.
But at the same time, it makes perfect sense.
Completely. Absolutely.
Callie losing her mind and really giving into that bestial nature. And it's that glass smashing, which is her mind.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, yeah. I remember the first time I saw that one as well. And exactly the same as you. Cristina was showing me the layouts and she was going through the pages. And it came to that one. I was like, wow, that's not how I envisioned the scene.
Yeah.
But damn, it's good.
Like, yeah, she cracked. Boom.
Yeah.
It's the perfect allegory. It honestly is. So you've had the Kickstarter up for a couple weeks now, and it's already funded. This is pretty much just icing on the cake now to see where we can go with stretch goals and stuff like that. Let's talk about some of the rewards that you have on the Kickstarter at the moment.
Okay. So we have quite a few kind of different goals going at the moment. A few of them have sold out, which were really, really popular. So probably the first ones to sell out within the first few days was we actually had a cameo in the second volume, which...
Yeah, I know. I that's always the one I look for. I admit, whenever I'm looking at like an indie publisher's Kickstarter, I was like, there's got to be some way I can get my charming visage into this book. Damn it, it's sold out.
We actually had to fight very hard for that one because Tomás does not like portraits.
Okay.
For some reason, he thinks that he's not good at drawing portraits of people. And I had to tell him, Tomás, I have sent you the image of the actors, and you have done it. Like, it's not different with a normal person. It's just the same.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, you think I can do it? It's like, yes, you can.
So
in his defense, as a graphic artist myself, we're always our own worst critic. So
yeah.
I understand where he's coming from. Like, no, I can't do this. It sucks. I hate to look at it. Shut up. It's great.
So we had to fight very hard for that one, but it's definitely proven to be the most popular reward so far. Probably the other reward, which I think is selling the most or selling the best at the moment, is we decided that because this is a second volume, that we've given people the chance to buy both volumes in bulk. So you can buy both volume 1 and volume 2. And that one's flying out at the moment. It's really proving to be very, very popular.
I can tell you that's the one I'm going to kick in on. By the time this hits YouTube, I will have kicked in on the Kickstarter myself because I did not know about volume 1 until you guys hit me up. And I'm like, all right, let me check this out. And I'm like, oh, it's volume 2. Well, what happens in volume 1? And you even addressed that in the Kickstarter. Well, here's your rundown of what happened, and here's what's going to happen. And I'm like, all right, so if I can't be in the book, how do I at least get part 1 and 2? Let's find out.
Definitely, this second volume has proven to be far more popular than the first one. Like, even beyond our imagination of what the first one was. So we funded the first Kickstarter with 4 days left on the timer. And this year round, we funded it within 4 days.
That's a nice turnaround.
It's a very nice turnaround. So we've been very happy, and we've literally, I think we're either just about to, or we have got the same number of backers already. And, we still got 17 days left to go on it. So it's already proving to be more popular. And the comments are flying in. So we wanted to make sure that people who are just joining us and joining the family of Woodland Creatures are able to catch up without feeling left out.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I did note when I was going through the rewards is they're very, I shudder to use the word simple, but they're very inexpensive. Like even the cameo was all of $80. So this is a Kickstarter that pretty much everyone can get in on at the ground floor and really reap all of the possible benefits. There's no, $400,000 items. This is like topping off at maybe $50. And I mean, so kudos to you guys for keeping the Kickstarter very concentric and very, I would say, user-friendly at this point.
I think this comes from our lifestyle because we are, we're humble. We don't have a huge amount of money. And so we know what it's like when you have a look at a Kickstarter and you see a reward for 400 quid and you go, or 400 pounds, and you go, okay, well, I'm never affording that.
Right.
Also, the fact that a lot of the backers from the first volume were from the US and from the UK, but a lot of them were from the US. So I didn't want to increase the prices a lot because there is also shipping, and shipping is quite pricey. In fact, I'm charging less for shipping than what it actually is because I didn't want to lose any backers or to have people like, I like it, but shipping is too pricey. So I wanted to keep everything as low as possible so that more people can, because honestly, I'm not making any money out of this. But I do want people to know about it because I think it's a good story and I want people to know it and to read it and to love it. And in order to get that, I cannot ask for an awful lot of money that other more known creators are asking for because people will pay for them, but for someone that nobody knows, they are not going to pay so much money. So I'd rather they actually got the book and know about it and enjoyed it than just make an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
Honestly, Cristina, it's a very humble opinion of yourself. Just like, I don't need to make too much money. I just want people to know the book and read the book and love the book. Honestly, I read the first one today and I absolutely loved it. It's a fantastic book. And I'm really looking forward to part 2. And you can definitely count on the Peach Basement support for part 3 as well. And for you guys watching at home, obviously you can get the first book and the second book in both print and PDF. You've also got some sketches, I believe, available from Tomás, the artist.
Yep. Not just from Tomás, we've also got a couple guest artists doing some of our prints. So we've got one from Diego, for example. He was the artist on Power Rangers and Firefly, so from the comic series of those. So very prestigious artist, and he did a fantastic print for us. And I think probably the most popular print at the moment is from a relatively unknown artist, Cristina.
Awesome.
Yeah, Cristina started doing a sketch. I loved it personally, and I managed to convince you that it would make a fantastic reward. And it's been flying off. So there's various prints that you can get to showcase any side of the characters' personalities, be that the brooding Christopher, or be that the sexy, glamorous, dangerous Callie, or even just if you're looking for a nice chilled out one, we've got what we effectively call the happy times, which is our 2 protagonists chilling out, reading books while lying on their Amaroqs. So
there is something to be said for the author who doesn't normally sketch things or draw things doing a sketch cover.
I'm very glad Cristina decided to put it up because I think even for me, it'd be the one I really want framed and up on the wall. And I'm kind of hoping I get a little bit of a discount if I decide to buy it.
You're selling the house. No, it was a bit weird because I was like, okay, you know what? I will put it up. If people like it, they will buy it, and if they don't like it, they won't. So, but nobody is going to know anyway if it doesn't sell. So, only me. So I just put it up, and then a few days after, I got an email from one of the backers and said that he wanted to have the add-ons, and he asked for like 7 copies of that print, of my print. And I was like, what? So many copies of that print. Yeah, it was really surprising, but I was like, well, I'm glad I put it up because people clearly like it. So, good.
So clearly people like your work.
I don't know if I should say this, but I have actually started writing a sequel.
Good.
So, yeah, if the graphic novel is successful, then there might be another sequel. Yeah.
I think this is actually a really good point as well to point out that for people who are wanting to know a little bit more about the story and wanting some more juice for it, I can't say a huge amount, but we do have a producer who has approached us for the story.
Really?
Yes, negotiations are ongoing at the moment.
All right.
But
so now that should be, now for you guys watching out there in YouTube land, this is all the more reason to jump in on this Kickstarter now because it just became an investment, people. Come on now. You know what's going to happen with this, and you know what happens to those original issues.
Yeah. So that I would like to think it's not going anywhere, but it's not going away anytime soon.
Good. Good to hear. So how can people find you on social media in order to follow you and the adventures of Chris and Callie?
We are everywhere, be that Instagram, be that Twitter, be that Facebook, Kickstarter. We're also very active on the updates. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't one of these people who just vanish off the face of the earth. So even once you've pledged to Kickstarter, we're sending out an update roughly once a week of what's going on. Even if nothing's happened, we send an update to say, nothing's happened, but we're still here.
Still breathing.
Yeah, we are, as mentioned, we are on Facebook, and that's Woodland Creatures Comic on Facebook. And obviously we've got the web address. Yeah, same on Instagram as well. And we do have the web address as well, which can come onto our website. And that is www.ChristinaRoswell.net/Woodland Creatures. So, yeah, we're very active all over social media. Any update which we post on Kickstarter is also posted on Facebook and on Instagram.
Fantastic. So, guys, I wish you nothing but the best of luck with the rest of the Kickstarter. Obviously, you don't really need that because this one's already funded. But the next one I know is coming soon, and I can't wait for it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with Chris and Callie. Thanks for coming on the show, Alan, Cristina. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. It has been an absolute wonder being here. So thanks very much, Pete, for having us on. I think the one thing I would like to say is, yeah, we may have already funded the comic, but we've still got stretch goals. So definitely get on, back us, viewers, and every penny which you help for us is going to be a benefit for everybody because it'll get us closer to stretch goals. And we got some fantastic stretch goals planned. So definitely don't want to sit this one out.
Well, I can already promise you that I will be kicking in on it, and hopefully some of you guys out there in Pete's Basement Land, you guys kick in on it too. It's an awesome story. You can take it from me, and I will have a review up of Volume 1 and then a review up of Volume 2 as soon as I get it. Thank you very much, guys. It's been great. Salud.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Pete's Basement is copyrighted 2020, Ripped Productions. All rights reserved, so go fuck yourself. I think this is a first in Pete's Basement history. I think we've actually set a record. This is the first time we've had 3 completely unique, completely awesome, different accents on the Pete's Basement show at the same time. And I'm loving every moment of it.